And we're rolling. Have you watched the show before, buddy?
No, I've been pretty busy with work and helping my two parents who's got severe medical problems with diabetes, arthritis, and other things. So, sorry, I haven't watched the show, and I guess I'm a fill-in because somebody
The show takes precedence. You're not a fill-in. You're an exclusive.
Well, I'm coming back from a long break, but I hate to tell you this. After I do this show, I'm going to take another break.
Jim Prey breaks the silence. Right here, folks. You're stepping out from the shadows momentarily. Oh, shit.
What the hell's that?
We'll skip that camera. Welcome to Big Words I Know by Heart, a program of rants, raves, faves, pet peeves, personal vendettas, celebrity interviews, and anything else we can fill the half hour with. As I said, this is a very special edition. I've been working on the man I like to call, okay, that camera sucks, the most interesting man in Buffalo, Mr. Jim Prey. Thank you for taking time out of your busy workout regimen to talk to me.
Well, I thank you for being kind to me, and I thank you for that kind introduction because I don't think I'm the most interesting, but I'll take the compliment with a big smile.
You know that I love you, Jim, in that way, in my pants.
Well, let's keep this show clean, and I hope we're going to talk about movies, music, writing, and other things dealing with art. So what art topic do you want to start with?
Let's start with poetry. You wanted to talk about poetry and what makes a person a poet, or what defines poetry?
Well, let me ask you this. Let's start with the writing.
You're going to answer a question with a question.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay. I bought one of your books, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Which one was that?
I don't know. It was a poetry book.
Breathing Room?
Probably. I'm thinking.
Did it rhyme?
It seems like there was some rhymes in it, and but poems about the winter time and stuff like that. And I just want to know, when did you start writing, and when did you first believe that you decided you had a talent for writing, and that you decided that you loved writing and that you wanted to try to make money in writing?
I still don't think I have a talent for writing, and that's a very nuanced question as well. I was just thinking about this today. I started journaling in the 8th grade after we had a blind man come into our science class. So how writing could spring out of a science class, I have no idea. But he said that we should write every day, and that inspired me to write a journal personally. And that wasn't for an audience. And then when I was a freshman in high school, I had an English teacher who encouraged me to keep journaling and keep writing, and she thought that I might be a born writer. And she talked to a journalism teacher at Clarence High School, and the two of them kind of ganged up on me, and just I was off and running from there. I wrote for some underground papers at the high school. I became the editor for the school paper, and the rest is history, as they say.
So what do you like to write best? Is it poetry, newspaper articles, reviews of restaurants, or what do you like to write best?
You're retired from granting interviews. I'm retired from freelancing. I never enjoyed writing reviews, but it paid well. I like writing rants. That's my therapy. Well, first and foremost, that's my therapy, and secondly, it's entertainment for whoever happens to read it. Well, and you can read a lot of that and more at tomfoolery4, the number 4.wordpress.com, folks.
Well, what's the difference between a rant and a poem? Because one time at a poetry reading, somebody told me you shouldn't call what you read and what you write poems because they're rants.
Rant is a term that people usually give to a less structured essay. It's an informal essay. and typically they're shorter. I think if I answer one of your questions, you should answer one of mine.
Okay, I'll try.
How do you feel about Lenny Revell?
I don't know. He's a big mystery to me. I really don't understand the guy. I mean, he believes all these conspiracy theories, and he seems like a talented singer, piano player, but I don't really understand why he believes all these conspiracy theories, and I really don't understand the guy. I tried to build a friendship with him, but it just didn't work out, which sometimes happens. But maybe you encountered Lenny Revell in your life. Maybe you could help me understand the mystery of Lenny Revell, because I really don't understand the guy.
He is a plastic, fantastic, holistic medicine man.
What does that mean?
I don't even know what that means. Before we go too far, Jim, I'd like to point out this massive zit at the bottom of my face. I got it from blowing hobos before the show.
Really?
Who were not tested.
Oh, my God.
Not going to tell you what the gender of the hobos was.
Oh, my God. It sounds like you must have drank a lot of buds.
So you answer one of my questions. Your turn.
Okay, my turn is...
Go quid pro quo, buddy.
Who are some of your favorite writers and why?
Bret Easton Ellis will always be one of my favorite writers, because he has a very poetry and prose-like sensibility to his writing.
Mm-hmm.
He's a perfectionist in the style of Fitzgerald or Hemingway. He'll rewrite the draft to a book multiple times. And I just love... He captures the way that my generation feels. I do like J.D. Salinger. I used to like David Foster Wallace. And Steve Martin's Pure Drivel is easily the funniest thing that I will ever read in my life. And that was a collection of essays.
Really? Can you guess who one of my favorite writers is?
I'm going to say John Updike.
No. One of my favorite writers is because he did what I wanted to do but couldn't do.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Bill O'Reilly.
Well, this writer did what I wanted to do. It was George Plimpton. That he actually, to try to understand something, he actually was a goalie for the Boston Bruins.
Mm-hmm. Hockey, correct.
Hockey. Then he was a pitcher, Major League Baseball pitcher.
And then he surprised everyone and went into Tiddlywinks. Am I correct?
I don't know if he did Tiddlywinks, but he was a pro quarterback, and then he actually was one of those trapeze artists, too. He was actually able to do something and then write about it, because when you see these things, like, say,
what circus?
I don't remember the circus, but I read some of his books, and I watched the documentary on him. I could lend you the documentary that tells you the circus.
And he was better at it than the Flying Graysons?
No, I'm afraid not. And I think he actually tried bullfighting, too. And I thought, wouldn't that be cool to do and then write about it? And then wouldn't it be exciting?
Well, Hemingway was big into bullfights, at least sitting in the crowd and watching bullfights, right?
Yeah, well, what do you think people like bullfighting so much? It seems like it's like a horrible thing against a bull.
There's something very masculine about watching a bull die. I think it's a cultural anomaly in Spain.
Yeah. But I'm saying, wouldn't it be nice to see these things you see in movies and on TV and actually do them and actually write, because you actually get the feel of actually doing something like that, because a lot of times you got to write about the things that you never actually do.
Well, they say write what you know, and then look at Steinbeck, who worked in the fields to research Grapes of Wrath. He went out and lived it.
Yeah.
You have to go out and live a little bit to write.
Yeah.
You have to have some life experience. Yes or no?
I would agree with that, but I mean, it's like, I like George Pym. I sort of envied what he was able to do, and I wish I could do that, but you got to have like money and connections to do something like that.
You guessed it, folks, George Plimpton.
But, okay, so can I ask you another question, Tom?
Have you read the treatises of the amazing Kreskin?
No.
Why not?
Never got to them. Can I borrow them from you?
Can I borrow a feeling?
What's that? Is that the name of one?
I'm just fucking with you, buddy.
Is that a name of a song?
That is a song. That is a song, yes.
Is that an Elton John song?
No, I don't know who sang that one. Rich would be able to help us out, but we are sans co-host right now. There is no co-host in the co-host hot seat. Just you and me, buddy.
Yeah.
Mano y mano.
But
is it my turn to ask a question?
I don't know. I lost track.
You know, I don't think you should beat yourself up about whether or not your poems are poems, though. You have had poems published, so technically, at the very least, you are a poet. If you have published work and those works are poems, then you are a poet.
Because I one of the things that I've encountered in my life was depression, and I was like, get very sad, and I said, well, I got to try to get this sadness outside of me, and so I would just write poems or write stories. And
I believe a wise man once said, "Song, song, blue, everybody knows one."
And who was that?
That was Neil Diamond. We were talking about him before.
Oh,
the show.
yeah, with the Blue Jeans song.
Made famous by Lenny Revell.
Really?
No. The correct answer was Lisa Rose.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking that I seem to write my best stuff when I'm really sad. Is that the case with you?
It's the case with Elton John. I write best when, you know, the book that I'm working on right now, Travesty, has been very difficult to write because, A, I'm writing sober now, and B, it's been very tough to find humor during one of the most turbulent periods of my life. Going through a divorce, getting sober, and being a father.
So that must be tough. Well, is going through a divorce the worst thing you ever encountered in your life?
Perhaps. The litigation was.
Oh, the litigation?
Yeah, the actual court proceedings were.
So did you get your heart badly broken?
No. Nope.
It was not like a death where you had to go through the stages of grief, like.
It was like a death, but there was not much of an emotional component to it. By the time we got to the separation, it was already done. It was done.
Well,
DOA.
Well, what do you think the problems is with humans in relationship? I think the divorce rate is, let's say, about 50%. Why do you think
it's a lot higher now? I think.
You think it's a lot higher? Mm-hmm. But why do you think humans have such a tough time? Like saying keeping relationships healthy?
Because we live in a world of instant gratification now, and people are not willing to commit to problems or speed bumps, or it's just a different generation now. They're not willing to stick it out.
They're willing to stick it out and put their nose to the grindstone?
They want immediate approval and reward without any of the work that goes into it. Do you agree with that?
I sort of think you're right on that, because it seems like.
Did that sound halfway intelligent, Jim?
Yeah, it sounded halfway intelligent to me. Yeah.
Did it sound like I knew what the hell I was talking about there?
Yes. Well, but I'm thinking, did you have a problem visiting I think you got a son, right?
Yeah, he's
2.5. Are you allowed to visit him and spend enough time with him as you want?
We have joint custody, so yes.
Oh yes. Okay. Mm-hmm.
I think it's my turn. Tell me about your workout routine.
Well, I go to Fitness 19, and when I get a chance, I go.
This episode brought to you by Fitness 19.
I'm sure they like the free plug.
Yeah, they need it in January when everyone's signing up anyways.
Yeah, I'd like to go on the treadmill for like about half hour, and then work out with the free weights, mm-hmm. and then do other exercises for my stomach, and then go back on the treadmill.
Is today leg day or arm day?
I think both.
Do you pitch hit with the strangers sometimes? You know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't
Never?
know.
No?
Well, first of all, you got to tell me what the question means, because it's hard to answer a question I don't know what it means.
Do you have special sexy time with yourself with the hand that is not the dominant hand? Does that better clarify the question?
I think
You're stymied, aren't you?
I'll just say I like to go with the dominant hand.
Okay. Then you heard it here, folks, first. Take two. You heard it here first, folks.
Well,
the dominant hand.
Let me ask you, what are some of your favorite movies?
The Witches of Eastwick with Jack Nicholson.
Really?
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Fight Club I could watch over and over. 7, I could listen to the dialogue with the picture turned off for the rest of my life. The dialogue is like candy. It's so well written.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Most of David Fincher's stuff, a lot of the Coen brothers stuff.
What about the Rocky movies? Did you like any of them?
Fuck those.
What about the
Yeah, I like that one sports movie where the person overcomes adversity in the last 5 minutes.
Which one is that?
That's every sports movie ever made. I do like boxing movies, though. I really like boxing movies.
Oh.
Cinderella Man, Raging Bull.
Yeah, Raging Bull was good.
Hurricane kind of sucked because they took some artistic license with a real-life story. Ali was way too long. I grew up watching boxing with my dad, though, heavyweight boxing.
Yeah, I
liked boxing biopics.
I did like the Ali movie. I think Will Smith did a decent job.
And I like sports movies, although I don't watch sports. So,
really?
Yeah, I can't stand football, but I like Any Given Sunday. Oliver Stone's football movie.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Well, what did you think of some of Oliver Stone's movies, like his JFK movie, his Jim Morrison movie?
I think he lost his mind right around JFK.
Really?
And he lost a lot of his edge after Natural Born Killers, don't you think? That 911 movie was soft. It was neutered.
I don't know. It's just like, well, Oliver Stone.
Which brings it all back around to Lenny Revell, who says 911 is a lie, right? Where do you stand on that?
Well, he thinks 911 was all a government conspiracy, that no planes hit the Twin Towers and that the government planted bombs in the Twin Towers, and I just don't get it. I mean, can you explain to me why he believes that?
Jim, what do you know that the 9/11 Commission doesn't? What secrets have you been sitting on during this radio and video silence that is self-imposed? What are your findings?
Well, I remember watching a Frontline documentary, and there was this guy from the government, I forget his name, who warned them.
Was it George Plimpton?
No, it wasn't George Plimpton. I forget the name of the guy who warned them it was going to happen, and the people high up in government didn't listen, and it did happen, and I couldn't believe when it was happening. I mean,
how about your favorite movies? If you had one favorite movie, what would it be?
Well, I would say one of my favorite movies is 61, which you probably never watched.
Is it a newer film?
No, it's an old film. It deals with... I was brought up by my father, who loved sports, who coached baseball and basketball.
Was that the Billy Crystal movie? The baseball movie?
Yeah, he did a story about Roger Maris, who in 1961 was trying to break Babe Ruth's single-season home run record of 60, and he hit 61, and it dealt with the problems that he had, that he was only an average ball player that was trying to break the greatest record there, and he got a lot of death threats and a lot of criticism, but a lot of fans were booing him and cursing at him because they didn't want him to break the record. They wanted somebody like a superstar like Mickey Mantle to break the record. To break the Babe Ruth's record, and it's sort of like it went through it was like a season. It should have been the greatest season in his life, but it was a season in hell. He was losing clumps of his hair, and he was smoking a lot, and it just went through like a season of hell, what he was going through, sort of like what we sometimes experience.
Sort of like going through divorce.
Yeah, divorce. And I thought it was really well done by Billy Crystal, and it also dealt with the tough life that Mickey Mantle went to. He was an alcoholic.
Why do you think nobody gives a shit about baseball anymore? Because the greats are gone?
I think there's still a lot of people that care about baseball, but it's not as popular as it once was, because I think the problem is they let the game be too slow. And a lot of these other sports, like football and basketball, are much faster. So I think they didn't adjust with the times.
That begs kind of an interesting question. Do you think 20 or 10 years from now we'll have these moving biopics about UFC fighters, for Christ's sakes?
What do you mean moving?
Biopics. You know, they have boxing movies and they have the Field of Dreams and whatever about baseball in '61. Do you think they'll start making biopics about UFC fighters? You think there will be a Ronda Rousey Unbeatable film coming out from Ron Howard and Touchstone Pictures?
I think it's possible because I seen some of those fights and they're pretty intense.
It's not the sweet science, I'll tell you that.
They're pretty intense and they get pretty brutal too. You're watching them and then suddenly somebody gets a shot in and the guy's knocked out. I mean,
is that what you're cross training for, Ultimate Fighting, Jim?
No, I don't want to go in the ring with some of these people because they're very good shape and they're very. It's like they could actually kill somebody very fast.
Would you throw down with Lenny Revell?
No, because I think he's really into the martial arts and he's in real good shape. And I think if I ever got into the ring with Lenny Revell, I would try to find a fast way to get out of the ring because I don't want to get seriously hurt.
What if it was you with a little help from the Great Gazoo?
The Great Gazoo? Well, the Great Gazoo could just snap his fingers and just throw Lenny Revell against a brick wall. And take care of him.
While Lenny cures cancer with his mind, correct?
Well, there's another thing about Lenny Revell. I don't understand why he keeps saying that he's cured cancer many times and that curing cancer is simple. The hard part is getting somebody to do exactly what I say. I mean, if you came up with a cure for cancer, you would make billions of dollars. And
tell me about this Lisa Rose obsession. Is she just a super talented singer-songwriter?
No, she's just a friend, and I think she's a very good singer-songwriter. She writes very creative songs, and she's just a friend.
Are you friends with benefits?
No, just friends.
Would you like to be? It's not a tough question. You can evade it if you want. Say pass. I'll give you one pass.
Okay, I'll pass. But
Would you like to dial a friend?
What is that?
I don't know what that is.
Is that something to do with the show Bragging Rights or Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
I think it used to be Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yes. But I mean,
if they made a game show based on your life, what would it be called, Jim?
Game show would be probably what's the best way to deal with depression? What about the game show based on your life?
I always get back up off the mat. If there's one thing I learned from writing my autobiography, it was that I always bounce back. I don't know how. Maybe it's the Irish in me.
Did you ever have any problems dealing with depression?
Absolutely. I was bipolar most of my life. That was kind of the crux of what Icarus on the Men was about.
Well, what do you think? What does bipolar mean?
Manic depressive.
You have like tremendous highs and tremendous lows?
I used to. Since I stopped drinking, a lot of the symptoms have either disappeared or diminished to a point where they're more than manageable.
Well, is one of the things you can encounter that you could be tremendously high and then split second later be tremendously low?
No, I was on a 7-year clock, which was rare. A lot of people rapid cycle or they're up and down day to day. So there's different grades or different degrees of bipolar. Whereas there's people with clinical depression. Have you been diagnosed with clinical depression?
I don't know what that means, but I've been diagnosed with depression, and I tried different drugs. I think one of them was Wellbutrin, and there was another one. But I didn't like the side effects, so I just decided to just deal with the depression because I didn't like the side effects for the drugs and just accept the fact that sometimes I'll be depressed and I'll just have to deal with it. What about you? Did you ever?
Did I ever what?
Did you ever try any of these depression drugs, or did you have any success with them?
Ginkgo biloba.
Is that a real drug?
It's an herbal remedy. Ginkgo biloba and healing crystals.
And did they actually work? Oh.
Maybe you should pitch Hit with the Stranger. That could cure your depression.
What does that mean?
That's actually what Billy Joel's Stranger album is about from the 70s, bringing it all back around to Billy Joel.
What's the story behind the song The Stranger?
No, that's bullshit. I was just making it up. I'm sorry, buddy. Really, though, this is the first show you've done since what year? Are we dialing it back to 2009?
It could be like about 3 or 4. I don't even remember the last either radio show or TV show I've done. And the only reason I did it is because
I railroaded you.
I respect your talent, and you've been kind to me in the past. And you sort of understand when I tell you I'm depressed or down. You understand. You don't.
I've been there.
You don't say to me stuff like, Jim, if you're depressed, all you got to do is choose not to be depressed.
No,
or
I feel your pain. One love.
Or you don't say to me like, don't tell me about your bad things, follow the saying that when you laugh, everybody wants to laugh with you. When you cry, nobody wants to cry with you.
Nobody loves you when you're down and out, right?
Yeah. Who said that?
John Lennon.
Oh. So what about your favorite musicians or favorite singers?
Those are easy. Elton John, Bob Dylan, The Talking Heads, Bjork, Beck. I could keep going. I got about 600 CDs at home.
What about Al Stewart?
The jazz musician?
No. Al Stewart, the guy that wrote Time Passages, Year of the Cat.
I'm not familiar with him at all. Where do you stand on Tiny Tim?
I don't know.
Big fan?
Like some of the songs, I sort of was amused by them, but I didn't really understand them. What was he really trying to accomplish, and what was the story about behind his song "Tiptoe Through the Tulips" and his other songs? I really didn't understand.
I think it was about heroin.
Really?
I based that on nothing. What do you think about this statement? No one can argue with the runaway success of Engelbert Humperdinck.
Well, there's another guy I didn't understand. What was this with Engelbert?
What was his deal?
Yeah.
No.
What
do you listen to in your spare time? I don't know. Al Stewart?
Well, some of the people.
Patrick Stewart?
Well, I'm a big Beatles fan.
Oh, Christ. Here we go again.
And Beatles, and I like the Beatles songs, and I like the story behind their songs, and I like Al Stewart. Al Stewart, he does a lot of reading research before he writes.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's still alive?
He's still alive, and I like Elton John. I like Billy Joel. And
what about John Stewart, the Green Lantern?
I don't know him.
You didn't get a solo album?
No.
He was a runner-up on American Idol.
Oh, really?
No.
So what about Elton John's song "I'm Still Standing"? Was that about his reaction to a lot of down times, depression, and about a lot of criticism?
It was a veiled metaphor about the Iran-Contra scandal that was going on at the time in 1986.
Really?
No. I pulled that on my ass.
So why does Elton John hate Madonna so much?
Elton John is a queen, and sometimes when a microphone is put in front of him, he says things that he regrets instantaneously. He's said a lot of stupid shit over the years.
Was he just the criticize Madonna because that one concert that she was lip syncing?
He says a lot of things spur of the moment that he regrets. I don't remember what the Madonna flame war was. I just remember the last dust up he had with Keith Richards when Keith said that Elton and Bernie made their career off of Dead Blondes.
What was that about?
He was referencing Candle in the Wind, the remake about Princess Diana, as well as
the Marilyn Monroe.
Marilyn Monroe, obviously.
Yeah.
You want it known. Holy crap, we're out of time, Jim. You want it known. This is your only exclusive interview right here. I appreciate you doing this with me, buddy.
Well, I figured I respect your talent and you've been kind to me, so I do it. But then I hate to tell you this, but I'm taking another break after this show is over with.
And Jim Prey sinks back into the shadows like the Loch Ness Monster or the Yeti of old. Are you more like the Yeti or the Loch Ness Monster?
I don't know what the Yeti is, and I'm not really...
That's it, folks.